Project 2025. Ooh, maybe I'll do that in slow motion, zoom in the camera with a bunch of echo. Classic YouTube guy thing.
Project 2025.
That was awesome. YouTube loves that. You love that. Folks, welcome to Live from the Studio, where today we are discussing America's newest boogeyman, the thing you should definitely, for sure, be scared of.
Perfect.
Today, we are going to take a closer look at Project 2025. Why? Because Joe Cold said so. That's right. President Joe Biden tweeted that we should do that. And when my president calls, I answer, "Sir, yes, sir! Project 2025, sir!" That joke works better because I'm wearing camouflage, completely coincidentally, today. I think it is important when Joe Biden tweets because he definitely tweets. A fun fact you may not be aware of is Joe Biden actually broke the record for most tweets during a debate. During the Trump-Biden debate, Joe Biden tweeted a record 26 times. And I don't know why the media doesn't talk about that more, because that kind of explains why he didn't appear to be all there. Now that I'm aware that Joe Biden was actively tweeting throughout the entirety of the debate, I think the fact that he was even able to come close to answering the questions is impressive. I think we're giving Joe a hard time about his performance. I mean, the guy was tweeting on average one tweet every 3 minutes. And they were all so concise and perfectly well-timed with the topic at hand. It almost made me wonder if there is a team of staffers that are behind his Twitter account doing it for him, but that can't be the case. There's no way that's the case. And therefore, when he, not some random 23-year-old intern, tells me to Google Project 2025, I will. And I did. And their first result was, of course, the website, project2025.org. Not sure why we couldn't have just put that in the original tweet. Would have saved me a step, but whatever. I'm here now. What am I looking at? Well, basically, Project 2025 is a 920-some page plan put together by the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank out of D.C. They've been around since the 70s. They were a primary thought leader during the Reagan administration. It's laying out an ideal agenda for the next incoming administration in 2025, which obviously for them would be the Trump administration, a conservative presidency. They have what's called a 180-day playbook where they outline, I guess that would be 6 months of initial policies and reorganizations, restructuring of certain, departments and whatever, and just a wish list almost, developed by several contributors. Every single chapter is clearly outlined. This department, this department, this department, what we're going to do about this, all by different contributors, some politicians, some not. And, obviously I didn't read it. I just saw this tweet a couple hours ago. I don't have time to read 920 pages, no matter how many hours ago. I haven't read 920 pages, maybe in my life. Certainly not today. The point being, and why I didn't find it incredibly necessary to delve through this to any particular extent is maybe I'm missing something, but I was given pause as to why I, as a casual Twitter user, just your everyday American boy, was directed to Google this. Why are you telling me to Google this, apparently, Joe Biden? And then it hit me. Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to be scared of this. Now, I understand that I am a right-leaning person. I don't really hide the ball on that. Now, of course, according to pop culture, that makes me far right because the right doesn't exist, apparently. It's just the far right. There's no such thing as just a conservative. It's just far right. So whatever, I am far right, I guess. Aww. But even if I kind of zoom out from that, if I kind of extract myself from the situation and look at it objectively, I'm still trying to find what the shock value is here that a conservative organization wants to ideally institute conservative policies. Now, of course, the plan here from the Biden camp is to link this to Trump. And Trump actually did come out on his version of Twitter where he basically kind of like dissociates himself from this Project 2025. He says, and I quote, "I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them." He tweeted that on July 5th, a few days ago. Now, I will say, that doesn't even sound like a Trump tweet. At first, I thought it was fake. I didn't think that he would go as so far to completely remove himself from this. But the point is, this isn't a Trump agenda. If you want to know what Trump's agenda is, you can go to his website and it's right there. It's called Agenda 47 for the 47th president. He was way bigger on this a year ago during the primaries because a lot of these policies were kind of put there to separate himself from the other Republicans and just kind of reinforce himself, reestablish himself as the main guy. We got some good ones on here. I like Agenda 47. Some of these are awesome. Let's start at the last page. Let's see. Free speech policy, whatever. President Trump will stop China from owning America. Good. I don't like that at all. Scrolling down. President Trump's plan to protect children from left-wing gender insanity. I like that. I can get down with that. Just all kinds of stuff. You know, announces plan to stop the globalists. Good. Good. Notice how I'm not shocked by any of this. President Trump's pledge to homeschool families? Is he pledging to homeschool families, or is he making a pledge to families that homeschool? Because that's a big difference. Is that what he means by reforming education? He pledges to homeschool all of us? I don't think so. Let's just go ahead and say probably that's not what he means. The point is, he's got 3 pages of policies clearly outline everything he wants to do that is readily accessible to anyone who wants to read it. And this is really the takeaway I'd like to focus on at the moment. I think the reason why the Biden camp thought it would be a power play to divert attention to Project 2025 is for several reasons. The first reason being that they have to do anything in their power to direct attention from themselves. That's kind of been the play. I was actually walking down the street today, getting lunch earlier, and I had this thought: is there anyone or anything, any singular person or idea that unifies the Democratic Party? And my initial thought was, no, I can't think of one. It's certainly not Joe Biden. Joe Biden isn't even liked by the majority of his base at this point. I can't think of any other politicians that would be. It's not Kamala. Who would it be? Is there a person? Is there a person that unifies the Democratic Party across all the different coalitions? Because that's really what you're dealing with when you're discussing the current state of the Democratic Party. It resembles much less of a unified front and much more of this sort of hodgepodge, mashup coalition of various different groups of people with vastly different and distinct concerns, priorities, and values that all seem to be unified by one thing. And this is what hit. Holy shit. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is what holds the Democratic Party together at this point. There is no person within that party itself that unifies and motivates Democrats to vote like Donald Trump, and it's been that way for as long as he's been involved, especially in the past 4 years when Biden entered the equation. You would like to believe that the person that unifies the party is the person that's nominated by that party to run for president, but it's not. It's almost insane just how non-unified the Democratic Party is behind Joe Biden, to the point where it's now like a 50-50 whether or not he's going to get pushed out or drop out before the election or what's going to happen. We don't know. So that's a very unique level of non-unity within a party. And when you ask people, well, who would be the person to take his place? And nobody really has a good answer, including when people say Kamala Harris, his current running mate and vice president. Nobody's stoked about that either. And there's not one clear contender in this. They don't really have anybody that the whole party is excited to get behind. All they have is a person that they are horrified of winning, and that's Donald Trump. That's a unifying thing. That's the one thing that virtually every Democratic voter has in common, and that is we hate Trump. Trump unifies the Democratic Party more than he unifies the Republican Party. There are plenty of Republicans that aren't super stoked about Trump. I don't really know them. Apparently they exist. I'm imagining it's like the really boring ones, but they exist. There's some guy who wants to seem like he's like more deep than the average Republican, and he's like, well, you know, I'm not stoked about Trump either, but you know, it's like, yeah, well, I am fucking stoked about Trump. Okay, buddy? Anyway, that guy exists, I guess. But when you look at the Democratic Party currently, you have the LGBT community, you have the black community, the Latino community, the Muslim pro-Palestine people, you have the college-educated liberal white people, and those groups literally have almost nothing in common. They have completely different experiences in life. They have completely different values, completely different cultures, completely different priorities. The LGBT community as a group is concerned with a bunch of this stuff over here, pronouns and trans rights and gay marriage and whatever else. And then you have the black community and the Latino community that as a community are not super about all that LGBTQ shit. They're not. That's not their concerns. If you talk to the average black guy, his primary thing is not, trans rights. It's just not. They have completely different priorities. You know, Latino people especially are very religious. The black community is very religious, very traditional actually in their social practices. And then you have the pro-Palestine people that are concerned with that thing going on. And it's like, yeah, and the LGBT community is having Pride Month and getting disrupted by the Palestine protests. And it's like, okay, so they're not getting along. I mean, nothing a Palestinian loves more than a trans guy, you know? And then you of course have the just the liberal whites, the college-educated whites who just want so badly to not be racist that they basically just spend their entire day proving that they're not, and just whatever everybody else wants, they're behind. But if no black guy wants to hang out with that guy. I'm sorry. No black guy wants to hang out with that liberal white chick with the blue hair, and they don't. They have nothing in common. No black guy wants to hang out with the hate has no home here signs in the suburbs. Like that, they just don't. You guys have nothing in common. The liberal whites want to be your friends really bad, and the black and Latino communities are like, relax, just keep voting in our favor and just keep it at that. We're not friends, dude. We're not friends. You're fucking lame as hell. You're not coming to the cookout. Vastly different values, vastly different priorities. There's no unifying thing. If there's one thing I think is fair to be said about the right, is that traditional Western values are a unifying principle of the right. I think that's fair. Pro-America, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a Republican who is not pro-America. You're not going to be that hard-pressed to find a Democrat voter who's not pro-America, who's anti-America. I'm not saying that goes for all Democrats. It certainly doesn't. That's why it's not a unifying thing. Even being anti-America is certainly not a unifying value among Democrat voters. There's plenty of patriotic Democrats. However, the idea of traditional values among conservative Republicans and pro-America, that is a very unifying thing. And that realization that, if we're being honest, the Democratic platform as it stands right now, not saying it has to be this way, not saying it couldn't be anything else, but as it stands right now, as is evidenced every day, as was evidenced during the debate, as is evidenced on social media, as is evidenced by Joe Biden's tweet today about this Project 2025 thing, is what unites them is being horrified of the alternative. The Biden campaign, the Biden administration spends more time talking about what Trump wants to do, what the conservatives want to do, than they spend talking about what they want to do. That's kind of wild if you think about it. And so even in this instance, they're going to point you in the direction of some conservative agenda, not a liberal Democratic agenda of all the things that they want to see instituted. Where's the 1,000 page document for that? I know that there's plenty of 1,000, 2,000, 1 million page documents about LGBTQ rights and policies. I know that there's even more pages on black rights and critical race theory and whatever, and even more documents about undocumented immigrants, no pun intended. And there's all these different agendas that coexist parallel to each other. But as far as combining all of those things into one cogent view for the future of the country, sorry, that doesn't exist. You can't have a party full of people who would never hang out with each other and call that a unified party. They're going to point you in the direction of Project 2025, divert you from the fact that they're not offering anything to the alternative, really. They're just going to continue doing what they've been doing, which is pointing over there and going, well, look what they want to do. And I guess as the average American, you're supposed to be shocked. Shocked at what? That a conservative organization has conservative policies that they would like to institute? Should this be a shock? And then I thought, oh, wait, it actually might be to them, because the idea of actually clearly outlining policies and steps that you would like to take, like not just saying like, we wish things were more like this and less like that. I mean, like clearly saying like, this is how many people need to be laid off from these departments. This is the type of restrictions we need to put on this issue, and like very clearly define things that you may or may not agree with, which is fine. Even Trump himself comes out and says, I don't agree with a lot of it, but you know, I wish him the best. I'm not affiliated with it, so I don't know why you're pointing at me. But the idea that someone from a political ideology has expressed that ideology is apparently supposed to be shocking to you. And again, maybe it actually is, because the alternative is the Democratic Party, who has not really ever clearly outlined any particular things that they actually intend on doing. They have a lot of vague ideas, reparations, LGBTQ rights. Not sure what rights they don't have at this point, but whatever. More of those, I guess. No human is illegal. Well, that's not really a policy. Having a completely open border is not a policy. And as you look through Project 2025, you'll see their stances on abortion are, you know, you guessed it, conservative. And they voice what they'd like to see happen. They have a conservative stance on social issues such as gender identity and pronouns and teaching that in school and critical race theory and all these things that, like, yeah, okay. If you're a conservative-minded person, you're going to look at it and say, yeah, I agree with that, or I think maybe that's a little much, or whatever. Whatever. Literally, there's no other word. If I could sum up Project 2025 in one word, as far as I'm aware from what I saw out of it, whatever. If I could sum it up in 2 words, it would be, who cares? Who cares? They want you to care, but we don't. We don't. Live from the studio, I'm Jimmy Selesky. New content on this channel all the freaking time. I mean, come on. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you did already, please don't unsubscribe. Leave us a like, leave us a comment. Till next time, peace.